I think we're early, but according to Rumble, we are on time. According to my camera or my clock out here, we are a little early, but it's because we are super excited for this episode of Nightly Scroll. I am Hayley Caronia. Happy Wednesday evening, and thank you for being here with me. A quick reminder to subscribe to the Bongino Report channel, rumble.com/Hayley. It's the only place you can watch my show live. So if you are a listener on iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows, please subscribe there as well. Leave a nice review. I like that, right? We always like a nice review. And for more content, of course, you can follow me at Hayley Caronia on X, Truth Social, TikTok, Instagram. And if I had to guess, I'm going to have a few more live viewers tonight than normal nights because of the exclusive sit down that I have on deck. And a lot of you might not know who I am. So allow me to introduce myself. I am a patriot. I am a fierce defender of the Constitution, and I am a truth teller. I absolutely hate cancel culture. I shamelessly love pop culture and also some conspiracy theories. My screen time is higher than yours. Whatever yours is right now, you can check it on your settings right now. I can promise you I have you beat. Sometimes my screen time is upwards of 16, 18 hours a day. One time I think it glitched and it was 24 hours. I don't even know how that's possible because I do sleep, as a matter of fact. But I cover the hard news when it's necessary, but we have a whole lot of fun on this show too. And I owe it to my mentor and my friend, Dan Bongino, who will be sitting down with me shortly. And I know that Dan is important to a lot of people, especially the fiercely loyal Bongino Army, and they are all in the chat right now. And all of his P1 listeners, he is their favorite podcaster. They start their morning with him, or used to, right? They listen to him in the car while they're commuting. And everyone is lucky to get a piece of Dan Bongino. And when he left to go take that job at the FBI, there was a massive void left in the podcasting and streaming space. I can't tell you the amount of texts I got when Dan took that job. And people said, "Are you taking over for Dan? He's giving you the keys to the castle." And I said, "Hell no, that's Vince. That's Vince's job." But in all seriousness, Dan left a void that nobody but Dan can ever fill. And he has built something very special here, and he left it temporarily because he loves this country. And he is the same guy that I met almost 10 years ago now. I was a booker at Fox News Channel. I'm sure some of you, if you watch this show, you know this story by now, but for anyone who doesn't know me, Dan, he brings the heat on TV and on the podcast and on the radio, and he brings eyeballs along with that heat. And when I first started working at Fox, I was in advertising and on-air promotion, and then I got this booking job on Hannity. And Dan was gifted. He was like gifted to me as one of my first guests. Like he was my guy. I was going to start with Dan and some of the other Fox News contributors, and I started booking him once or twice a week. And then that turned into maybe we need him 3 times a week, and maybe we need him 4 times a week. And I think we need to have Dan on standby every night. And when you talk to someone every day, you get to know them on a personal level. And Dan is salt of the earth. He is good people. And, I was probably a little too honest with Dan at times. I'm sure my boss at the time wouldn't want me saying this, but I would tell him straight up, "Listen, we're probably going to cancel you tonight." Or, "Listen, we need a favor from you. We know you have a home studio." If you don't know, a little behind the scenes tidbit, some people who have home studios, we abuse them as bookers. It's like, we know that they're home and we know that there's breaking news. We're going to call him because we know he can a flip of a switch and we can get him on TV. And Dan was one of those guests for us. So I would call him and say, "Listen, President Trump is speaking and we don't know when the speech is going to be over. Can you just sit and wait? And, maybe we'll come to you. Maybe we'll get to you for a segment or 2, or maybe we won't get to you at all, or maybe it'll just be 20 seconds at the end and the music will start playing and you'll have to just vamp and say what you got to say in 20 seconds or less." And, maybe it was the RNC and we were taking the coverage for hours and we would say, "Can you be on hold for us for 3 hours?" And he would say yes. And most importantly, in breaking news situations, whether it was a shooting or a bombing or a terror attack, crime, exposing the deep state, or just, a fiery debate with a liberal, there was no one better. And I could always call Dan. He would always answer and he would always do the favor. Always. And I was honest with him, and he was honest with me, and he gave me great advice throughout my career. Some advice I was too stupid not to take at the time, but through all of the crazy turns my career has taken, I mean, Dan has been there. Anytime I was too nervous to ask for a promotion at work, or I wanted to change gears and do something totally different, or I wanted to change networks and get different experience, or I wanted to transition from behind the scenes to on air, when I wanted to pitch a podcast. And at times, it felt like nobody would really listen to me, but Dan did. And even though I've picked myself up and moved across the country a few times now for job opportunities, no career move that I have made was all that scary after I had Dan's stamp of approval. It just felt right. And then about a year ago, this brings me to why I'm sitting in this chair right now in his studio. At my job, I was making a weekly YouTube video. I was producing podcasts for, I think, 6 other people. And then on the side, I would do my own little show. And I thought that nobody was watching it because nobody was. But I didn't care because I was living the dream and I was happy doing it. And if you watch Nightly Scroll, I have a segment towards the end of the show where I just scroll on TikTok, and, we just have so much fun in here. If you watch the show, we are belly laughing, and I'm crying and, laughing until I'm crying, and it's dumb stuff, but it's fun stuff, and I absolutely love doing it. So that was along the same lines of what I was posting on YouTube, and I was posting those clips on social media, and Dan saw them, and he said, I'm going to hire you. If you're not under contract, I am going to hire you. He said, I want you to do a podcast on my network. And this was months before the FBI job was even a conversation. And as I always do, I trusted Dan. And here I am. I'm in, what should be his chair. And I know there are a lot of people watching tonight who are also very lucky to call Dan a friend. And you know how it feels to have Dan in your corner. The media industry isn't always kind. There are a lot of people who will lie and cheat and steal, and they'll clout chase, and they'll want your job, and they're two-faced. And when you find someone in this industry that you can trust, and I mean really trust, you hang on to that. And I'm so glad that I did, because I have just gotten a taste over the last few months of being a part of this wonderful community that Dan has built, full of hardworking American patriots who gave me a chance because Dan told them to. And I know that, and I appreciate that more than you know. So I hate to leave you with an antagonizing cliffhanger, but Dan will be joining me a little later in the show. I have some headlines to get to, some videos to react to, and then yes, the GOAT will be behind the mic for the first time since leaving the FBI, and you'll want to stay tuned for that. So aside from the long-awaited interview, what else do we have on the show tonight? Well, there was a shooting in Minnesota involving a DHS agent, and Governor Tampon Tim is crying propaganda. We will watch the video together, and you can decide. Also, the Democrats are, unfortunately, they're singing again. And thankfully, it prompted the return of the sombrero memes. So you lose some, you win some. In this case, Gavin Newsom is beefing with President Trump again. And this all comes as people are fleeing his state in droves, including the Google co-founder and other businesses. And plus, living in deep blue cities, it's not all it's cracked up to be. You're more likely to be assaulted or accosted by a crackhead. And I've got videos to prove it. So put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. It was a federal agent shot and killed a Minneapolis woman in what DHS is calling an act of domestic terrorism. So I want to play this video because Tampon Tim says one thing is going on, but let's watch ourselves. Watch. So there's a woman in the middle of the road. She's in this SUV and she's blocking the road as liberals do. And this agent is going to come up and tell her to move. No! And she starts moving the car, knowing that the agents are hanging on.
Oh my fucking God!
And they took shots.
What the fuck? What the fuck? You just fucking, what the fuck did you do?
Excuse the language here.
You are fucking criminals! You're fucking criminals! What?
So the protesters blocking the road, as they do. This is what they do best, right? They think they're making a difference by putting agents at risk and inconveniencing everyone else in the community. You know, they just like lay in the road for whatever cause comes to mind, if it's climate or something else. And In this case, she's in the middle of the road blocking traffic. And a federal agent, as we all saw in this video, approaches the car, attempts to speak to this driver, but no, she starts backing up and then speeding off, knowing that there are federal agents hanging onto her car. So here is what ICE had to say on X earlier. This was their explanation here. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, and one of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. This is an act of domestic terrorism. An ICE officer, fearing for his life and the lives of his fellow law enforcement and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. The ICE officers who were hurt are expected to make full recoveries. This is the direct consequence of constant attacks and demonization of our officers by sanctuary politicians who fuel and encourage rampant assaults on our law enforcement, who are facing a 1,300% increase in assaults against them and an 8,000% increase in death threats. End of quote there. But Tampon Tim Walz, of course, had to weigh in on the chaos going on in his state. And he said this on X. I've seen the video. Don't believe this propaganda machine. The state will ensure there is a full, fair, and expeditious investigation to ensure accountability and justice. Okay, well, sure, investigate, that's fine. But how, Tampon Tim, is a video of the incident propaganda? This is all over social media. This isn't edited. This isn't AI. I don't know how you try to spin this narrative, but they do. We, myself, everyone watching this in the chat, we don't believe the media anymore. Not the mainstream media. We don't believe politicians. We trust our eyeballs and we trust our instincts. And Democrats hate that. They really hate that. And they built that reality from the ground up. Democrats demonize federal agents. They demonize law enforcement and the Trump administration. Democrats are the ones that set the tone. They call Trump Hitler. They call anyone in his inner circle Nazis. They call ICE, President Trump's secret police, his Gestapo. And I want to reiterate, in case you didn't get that into your heads, attacks on ICE agents are up more than 8,000%. I remember before those LA riots, when that number sat somewhere around 400. ICE agents have had cinder blocks and bricks thrown at them during riots. Now protesters who have nothing better to do than to stalk agents and film them and accost them all day. They are being trained at different seminars on how to resist ICE and the Trump administration's efforts. Make no mistake, the radical left has riled up their extremely violent base with their own rhetoric. This is their own doing. And they have made the other side an enemy that is so evil that they feel justified in destroying it and killing it. The left, for a long time, but certainly since 2020, has created an environment where their most mentally unstable and deranged supporters feel comfortable taking out the other side by any means necessary, attempting to kill members of Congress at a congressional baseball game. Do you remember that? Thankfully, Congressman Steve Scalise survived that attack. People forget that this has been going on for a long time, too long, and it's only ramped up. And President Trump has withstood multiple assassination attempts. Teslas are keyed, charging stations are firebombed by trannies. Vice President Vance's Ohio home was broken into with a hammer just this week. Innocent people are killed in their places of worship because these evil freaks think that they have a shot to win in the battle of good and evil, but they will never win. So how do we combat this rhetoric? What do we do? Where do we go from here? We must get focused ahead of these midterm elections. This is everyone in the chat. Tell everyone you know, everyone watching. Republicans, they don't usually get too excited on these off years. We have to keep this momentum going. We've got to hang on to this majority in Congress. And I hate to say this, but our lives depend on it. And we have one thing on our side. While the Democrats are violent and dangerous, they are also totally retarded at the same time. And they give us no shortage of content for me to make fun of, at least, which brings me to last night. And this apparently happened just after I got off air. So I wasn't lucky enough to cover this last night with my whole January 6th show. But apparently the Democrats led by Chucky Schumer, made fools of themselves at a candlelight vigil they held for January 6th. Get a load of this.
Let us remember the attack of January 6th is not over. It lives on in the threats to our election workers. It lives on through those who want to take away our right to vote, who want to legalize voter discrimination. We must never, never, never stop fighting for this beautiful democracy, which January 6th showed us is more fragile than we ever imagined.
Well, our constitutional republic is just fine. It's just fine. And democracy prevailed when Americans voted Donald J. Trump back into office in 2024. And nobody is threatening to take anyone's right to vote away. When Democrats say this, they're referring to women who have recently been married being inconvenienced and having to register under their married names. Listen, if you want to vote so bad, which we all should, right? This is our civic duty. We should all want to vote. And whatever side of the aisle you are on, you should make your voice heard at the polls. Wait to change your name until after the election or be an adult and file all the paperwork ahead of the deadline. It really is that simple. And no, it's not racist to require voter ID. It's actually racist to assume that people can't get access to one, not to mention IDs are given out like candy to illegals in sanctuary states. So I'm really not sure what Democrats are all up in arms about. And for the love of all things holy, January 6th is over. It was over 5 years ago on January 7th, 2021. But, AOC she's still crying because a hair on her head was almost touched and, a speck of dirt from someone's shoe was left on Nancy Pelosi's desk. And they were freaking out about all these what could have beens, right? What if it was worse? What if I was attacked? What if? And none of it actually happened. And I said on the show yesterday, I really can't find an F to give when the Democrats clutched their pearls over January 6th, because anything that transpired on January 6th was far more civilized than anything we see during any other libtard get-together. Anytime they try to coalesce in the streets for, insert cause here, climate, fight the oligarchy, I hate Elon Musk, whatever. People board up their windows and close their businesses in fear of them being burned to the ground. So it's embarrassing that 5 years later, they act like it was yesterday and that it was the end of the world. Clearly, the world kept turning. And Donald J. Trump is their president, whether they like it or not. And that's really what all of their outrage is about anyway. But the Democrats' lunacy didn't stop at the candlelight vigil. They also did what they do best, and that is break out into song. Watch.
Guide her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to...
Someone somewhere with more brain cells than these sitting Democrats had the wherewithal to cut that stream off before it got any worse. They had heard enough. And we were joking about this before the show started. We were saying this is like when you open the door to Christmas carolers that are off key and you have to sit there and smile like, thank you. It's really nice. Okay, move it along now. That was how the person, whoever was in charge of the live stream, said, we're done. We're done with this. We've heard enough. But anytime the Democrats break out into song, I totally cringe. And I guess their constituents voted for this. I mean, I guess I'll take God Bless America over Imagine any day. But, we don't need to make a habit out of this. The only good thing that came out of this whole thing, though, was the return of the sombrero meme. Thankfully, this courtesy of our vice president, J.D. Vance, the sombrero meme came back. So... all you have to do these days is just ask Grok, Can you put Chuck Schumer in a bikini, please? Grok, can you put Chuck Schumer in a sombrero and give him a mustache? And, it's just too easy to rage bait these days with Grok on
May this
hand.
never go away.
May this never go away. Totally agree. Love to see it. And yes, the long-awaited interview with Dan Bongino is coming up in just a little bit. Do not go anywhere. I've got a quick break from our sponsor for tonight's show, Fatty 15. I kicked off the new year doing 75 hard. I am 7 days in right now. But stiff joints and poor sleep, that's not going to get me any closer to my health and fitness goals. And you, like me, probably want to find something that will help you feel younger and slow down aging, feel good. And I'm excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15. It is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy. And based on studies, we know that when our cells don't have enough C15, they can age faster. Fatty 15 can help repair and protect age-related damage to cells and help activate pathways in the body that support our overall wellness. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, 100% pure C15 supplement that comes in a gorgeous, reusable jar. I'm having much more energy since Fatty 15 sent me some to try, and it is really helping me get through my long days. Again, the jar, it comes in a glass jar. It looks great on my nightstand. I don't even have to put it away. It's awesome. And I fall asleep like that when I take it. So Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term health and wellness, especially as you age. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/scroll and using code SCROLL at checkout. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. All right, well, Gavin Newsom, he's under a magnifying glass right now, and you would think that, after everything being exposed in Minnesota, Newsom would, try to take a little hiatus in between getting totally ripped to shreds by Nicki Minaj and now this reignited beef with President Trump. You would think he'd want to stay out of the spotlight just for a little bit. But, we know that what's happening in Minnesota is happening everywhere, and it's certainly happening in California, and now an official investigation is underway, as it should be. There should be one in every state. This is why DOJ is so important. But President Trump, he took aim at Newsom and a few others, specifically related to his cognitive abilities, and boy, POTUS did not hold back. Watch this.
We should give everybody, these competency tests, right? The cognitive, they call it cognitive. I'm the only president that went for cognitives. I think every president and vice president should be forced to take cognitive exams, mental tests, are they intelligent? Wouldn't it be nice? Do you think Walz could pass a cognitive test, as an example? Do you think Kamala could? I don't think Gavin could. He's got a good line of crap, but other than that, he couldn't pass. Here's a guy who didn't want to have water coming down from the Pacific Northwest. Why? They have a little tiny fish, this big, it's a little tiny fish. Not doing well. You know why? No water. They're sending water. It's too much. It's killing the fish, so they cut it off. And then they have 25,000 houses burned down. They don't know why. No, I think, I believe in it. I'm the only one that took a cognitive test.
Yes, and he passes with flying colors. And yes, I do think that every president and every politician should take one. Why not? It would probably root out a lot of Democrats. But anyway, Gavin Newsom claims that President Trump hasn't lifted a finger to help the people in the Palisades. And I just want to ask Gavin Newsom, what happened to the fire aid money? There was a whole concert and $1 million went to I don't know where. And the people in the Palisades also don't know where because it didn't go into their pockets. And just a year later now, people are just starting to rebuild the first homes in the Palisades. Just a few weeks ago, we reported on that. Families never received aid from, all of these supposed well-meaning NGOs and charities. And, insurance coverage was denied, not to mention all the money that Gavin spends on healthcare for illegals. I think it's fitting that California is going to be under a magnifying glass. But now reality show star Spencer Pratt, he's been super outspoken against Newsom and all of this. He's thrown his hat into the ring for LA mayor, announcing a run for office after he lost his home in the Palisades. And this is what he had to say. The system in Los Angeles isn't struggling, it is fundamentally broken. It is a machine designed to protect the people at the top and the friends they exchange favors with, while the rest of us drown in toxic smoke and ash. Business as usual is a death sentence for Los Angeles, and I'm done waiting for someone to take real action. That is why I'm running for mayor, and let me be clear, this isn't just a campaign. This is a mission, and we're going to expose the system. I love to hear that. Anytime someone says they're going to root out corruption, I mean, you know that all of these politicians are running scared. And you may remember LA Mayor Karen Bass was elsewhere during all of these fires. So the pristine weather, and beaches are not enough to keep people in California, or businesses for that matter. Google co-founder Larry Page is taking businesses out of California and incorporating them in Florida and Delaware to evade a wealth tax supposed to hit California by the end of last year, so in effect now. Google itself not leaving California, to be clear, but Larry Page's other business ventures, Coop, One Arrow, Dynatomics, and Flu Lab LLC have all been filed out of state now. And it's not just business owners fleeing Democrat policies and all the damage that they leave in their wake. It's people looking for jobs. California is a big outbound state. New Jersey, New York. Hey, I was one of them. I grew up in New York. If I could live my life safely and happily in New York, I would have stayed. My family's there. My friends are there. If I could afford to give my future children the life that I had in New York, I would consider staying, but it's absolutely impossible. Not to mention, when I was living in New York City, it was really unsafe. I tell these stories all the time on this show, so I won't repeat myself, but it was very unsafe. And my roommates, we all had instances with crazy homeless people and on the subway and all this. It's just dangerous. And it's not getting any better. I've talked about this on this show before. There are a whole host of New York City influencers who are getting punched in the face. This has been happening for over a year now, well over a year. And now this almost happened again. So this is under Mamdani's watch, and it's certainly not going to get any better, but here's Exhibit A. Watch.
PSA, if you live in the financial district, I just dodged an uppercut to my face. Would have been punched had I been staring at my phone. Luckily, I saw this guy as I was crossing. He was like 5'7", 5'8", distressed clothing, acting in a state of disarray. So I honestly was kind of prepared to be swung at, and I literally dodged. And there was a kind man there who asked if I was okay right away, and I am. I'm just totally caught off guard because he swung with full force, and oh my God, it makes me want to cry. But I was outside of the Anthropology in the financial district. I don't know if this is helpful, but I just wanted to say something in case other people are in the area. Just stay off your phone. I literally would have been clocked in the face had I been looking at my phone, and luckily, before I crossed the street to go into the Anthro, I noticed him, and I was just on the defense and being safe, but that's the warning. It's Saturday at 5.
Wow. Again, this is something that keeps on happening. This isn't just a one-off. There's probably 5 influencers that I follow that got punched in the face, and then this one just came up on my For You page, and if I had to guess, this isn't going to be getting any better considering Mamdani's policies. His policies are also openly discriminating against white people. We've covered this all week about his, tenant director or whatever her name is, and she's all concerned about how white people are so bad. She's white, by the way. But I found this video of a Ukrainian refugee experiencing blatant racism in New York City. Watch this.
You white fucking bitch!
You hear this woman screaming at her, and the video says this. Living in New York City, you can face racism even as a white woman. Today in the subway, this woman started yelling at me because of my white skin. She was offending me for oppressing black people, and I wasn't even reacting to her. She kept screaming, "It's not your land." And this Ukrainian refugee who posted this video said, well, she's right. It's not my land. I'm Ukrainian. I'm in the U.S. because there's a war in my country. I didn't choose to leave my home. I was forced to. I never oppressed black people. I had never been racist. And she claims, this Ukrainian refugee claims, this is what reverse racism looks like. Hate, based on skin color is racism, no matter who it is coming from. And I'm being interrupted, I think. Someone is just stepping into the back. He might be getting his set ready for when, well, I won't announce anything just yet, but
Justin, remember this?
he's making himself at home.
Remember playoffs?
I love it. He's already getting ready. Just a little,
Let's do it.
let's do it, shall we? Let's not waste any more time. I've just been sitting here vamping, waiting for you.
If I have poor mic discipline, make sure you tell me, guys. You know I'm supposed to be eating the mic. How you been?
I've been
It is
great.
good to see you, man.
It's great to see you, and I was gonna say, it's a little weird that we were kind of two ships passing in the night, where I came on and we were talking about me starting this show way before the FBI job even
Well,
came
I didn't
to
know.
be.
I mean, I never mentioned that to you because
No.
it was not in the, what do they say, the bingo card? Like, I never had, like, oh,
No
let's just,
idea, right?
By the way, the president calls, though, and asks you to serve. The only answer is yes. But I got to tell you, I did feel bad because I knew the Bongino Army. You guys and ladies out
The
there
best.
are freaking rock stars. Like, I love you to death. You have no idea. And, this experience is very illuminating. Like, you see who your real friends are. And you guys are freaking studs. Look at the chat
I know,
already.
the chat is blowing
Break
up. It's going
that
so
sucker.
fast. You
I
can't
know. It's not
even
even
read it.
it's not even on my channel. So wait till our channel comes back. But I felt kind of bad because, and this is how I know Hayley's a real rock star and you're really loyal. Like, you could have said, hey, I didn't sign up for that. Like, I signed up to be part of the Bongino Army. There's not the Hayley Army yet. Like, we want to. And not only did you stay, but you became a really high-level, top-level broadcaster. Your show's amazing. I watch it, and it's just like you said. I think it's just good to be back on the other side.
Good to be back.
Yeah, man. I used to. Once in a blue moon, I would just pop by and drive by the studio, and I would be envious of you. Look at that chat, man. You guys, I missed you guys so much. You have no idea. I really, really missed you all. So it feels like my extended family. But the show's going great. I hope you didn't mind me barging in early.
Oh, not
I
at
just
all.
saw the crazy cat lady thing, and I just had.
Oh, you had to take it out?
Oh yeah, I had to.
Well,
go
that's not mine. Guy put that up there
I know.
on my behalf. That's a joke.
Justin, you remember that was from the audience. That was the whole Genie.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm a cat lady, but I'm not crazy.
What do you want to talk about?
I mean,
Where do we start?
where do we start, right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to start with you getting that call from the president.
Yeah,
And what that was like to kind of know that you had all of this, that you were going to have to give up temporarily. And I'm wondering, when you did the last show,
Yeah.
how long did you think it was going to be until you came back? Did you know
Well,
at all?
we always had planned for the first year. So, it's funny. Like, I got to get to that question. So don't keep that question in your head. Like, what I but it just reminded me, when you read the media spin, but you actually see from the inside what's happening. However bad you think the left-wing grifters in the media are, Hayley, I promise you they're 10 times worse. The timeline was always for me to do the first year and help the Trump administration with my law enforcement background. Cash is a really, really good lawyer, had DOD experience, but they wanted someone with law enforcement in the experience, in that seat, I loved the job. I wanted it. And this president is just an amazing guy. So I'm sitting there in my house. You've heard the story 1,000 times. I know you have. Justin's heard it too. He could recite this story himself. But I'm sitting in my house. I think it was a Sunday night. I remember it was 8:20. The only reason I remember it was 8:20 is because I was falling asleep and I looked at my phone and it said Trump. And I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. Like, the boss is calling, I mean, we talk, but not that often. I mean, he's a busy guy. And I thought, what's this about? And, he asked if I wanted to take the job. And I was floored. I was like, of course. I mean, I really hadn't thought anything through.
Right.
It would have been kind of talked about a little bit, but I don't know. It just went down really fast, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Is that what you thought the call was about?
No, I had no idea.
Okay,
I had
so
no idea.
total surprise.
So I'm sitting there, and I think I was falling asleep in a chair, and I woke up with, groggy voice. Groggy voice is the worst, right? And I'm thinking, I hope he doesn't think I'm hungover or something like that. So I'm trying to, before I answer, I'm trying to, clear my throat.
Wake up.
Wake up, smack yourself and stuff. And I get on, I'm talking to him. And this is how awesome this guy is. I mean, I tell you, it was the honor of a lifetime to work for him. The guy is just a get it done, no bullshit, like go get the other bad guy's guy. And I'm telling you, man, it's like working for the Lone Ranger. It was awesome. But he told me this story. This is how he is. He's just an amazing guy. He says, "So you want to take the job?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And he said, "You're going to give up this successful show, and you got your wife at home and everything. Are they ready for this?" It was a pretty tough job, but are you sure you want it? And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Let me tell you something. He said, when I was president back in the first term, I was the commander-in-chief, and you're making all these big-time military decisions, and you're wiping out, Russian mercs on a Syrian battlefield." He said, and then, 2020 happens, and I was back to doing what I do, running my businesses and making good money and doing all that. But he said, "You know what, Dan? It's not the same." And he said, "I get it."
Yeah.
Because, he knew it wasn't about the money. It's certainly not about the money for him. I don't even think he takes salary, he donates it. So that was it. And I knew that it was the right thing to do, was a calling. But I'd be stone cold lying to your face if I said, I didn't miss you guys in the audience, and even even the team. I say it like you guys are second best or something. Andy, who was new, and Justin and Guy, producer Jim, Mike. I mean, the whole team. I missed everyone. And when you're on the inside, it's not about you. It's about the boss. You don't go out there doing your own media appearances. It's not about you. It's about the mission, and it's about running the government. So it was kind of hard to stay quiet. But I'm not quiet anymore. Loud, obnoxious Dan Bongino, taking on the world of grifters, bums, shitheads, and life losers, is absolutely back. And just watch what's coming. It's going to be delicious moving forward. Because my giving and Fs, I think I gave 0 Fs before. But now
negative
it's like
Fs.
Now
We're in the
into negative?
negatives.
I think we're into a lot of negative Fs. Poor Jasmine outside. It's like, she hates when I curse. It's an F. It's not. Jasmine don't like when I curse or anything. But now it's like I am.
I
ready
drop
to go.
them sometimes. I'm sorry.
It's a New York thing.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to. I get so passionate about this stuff. I mean, there's crazy stuff going on, and it just comes out.
See, Jasmine, I said Fs. I didn't use that actual expletive. See, she's already coming in here. I'm reading the chat. Love you, Dano. Love you guys too, man. It was. Who said that? Mad Life. It had to be hard for me to leave. Yeah, it really was. It really was. But, guys, and ladies out there, turn up Dan's mic, says C-Biz. Or that's probably me. It's probably
Dan has the worst mic posture I've ever seen.
You have to run out.
Mine is too good. I have my lip gloss on
I
the
know.
mic
She's
itself,
not kidding.
so I'm like really close up on it.
She's not kidding. Like there's actual lip gloss on that mic. Is this my mic from last time? Is the actual mic? Is it
thing.
same stand too? Man, you guys are good.
Same everything.
I
You've been
have my
gone so long,
original
you
mic.
forget.
I know. I have my original mic from the first show. We should auction that off one day for like Wounded Warriors or something, don't you think? It's just sitting in my house.
That'd be cool.
And we should give all the money away. That would be just fantastic. We could help people do like a scholarship or something. That'd be cool. We should plan on that. It's got a dent in it too because I dropped it one time. So, a couple of things though too. I just want to say, sorry, Hayley, it's your show, but I never got to mourn Charlie publicly like everyone else, and I'm obviously going to have a lot to say during my first show, which we'll talk about in a second. But, rest in peace, brother. That was, he was not only a friend, but a good friend. I think everybody had a little piece of Charlie in their lives in the movement, and Charlie made everyone feel special. So I miss you, brother, and may God rest your soul. So that I know I'm going to talk about on my first show, but that's really important. And I never got to say that publicly, and I really desperately wanted to. I was devastated, as many people were, by that horror. I don't even know how to describe it. No one wants to even relive it.
Yeah. Well, going back to my question, and this kind of ties into that pretty well, when you took that call and you said, yes, I'm going to take this job, was it what you expected? Because certainly I know you couldn't have expected what happened to Charlie to happen to Charlie and everything that happened since then. So what was that like?
Yeah, it's funny. I was coming over here and I'm like, gosh, I got so much to say, and I never take any notes or anything. So I just was like typing some stuff out of just some things that were in my head. And a couple of things I expected, but didn't understand the gravity of it because I wasn't in it. It's like anything else. I mean, if you were a Secret Service agent going to the DEA, you'd have to, relearn drug cases. They're not how, you would do protective intelligence cases in the Secret Service. So I knew we were walking into an agency that had a lot of problems. And I think that's understatement of the millennia.
Yeah.
When 80% of the public doesn't trust an institution, there's something wrong. And I was pretty clear with the guys and the women there on day one that, we were in charge. We were here to fix the place. And that was it. There was not an option two. Like it's our way or the highway. And I really found that there were two FBIs, and I'll talk about this a lot more in my first show, but there's the guys out there with the door kickers going out there, getting bank robbers, getting, VCAC cases, violent crimes against children, working white collar, working violent crimes, working counterterror, working counter-espionage, tech guys. We have, divert agents, SOG agents, surveillance agents. And then there was the politically weaponized group, and they had to go. Okay, well, that's easy. Well, the problem is who's in what group.
Right.
They don't come out and tell you. No one comes out and advertises. It's like, hey, I was part of this. So Cash and I.
How do you find?
That was.
How do you root out the corrupt guys?
Well, it was not easy. We had this. Cash and I did investigate, say a problem, find the perpetrators involved, and take action. And it sounds like a simple battle plan, but it was not as easy as we thought. And it took a little bit to get that moving. So that on the work front side, you got to remember, I got out of federal law enforcement in 2011. So when you're sitting there at the PDB every morning, the president's daily brief, it doesn't happen in the way that everyone gets their own, the principals and deputies get their own version of it. But you're getting the same material, and you see the national security picture, and you're comparing it to what you were used to back when you were in the federal government at a lower level, but you still got the generalities. Right. It was really shocking.
Wow.
The world is a really dangerous place. I mean, hello, Captain Obvious. But when it kicks you right in the balls and you're reading it every day, it's different because you're in charge.
Yeah.
When you're the principal and the deputy of an organization like that has the counterterrorism portfolio, there's no room for dicking around. It's just get to work right away. It's not like, I got to take a day off. I got the sniffles or something. It just doesn't work like that. So that was, but another thing I think that surprised me was, which is going to sound like a lot, you guys will be like, oh my gosh, the media? Yes, the media sucks so bad. I mean,
tell us something we don't know.
No, I know you're like, Dan, seriously, like you've done entire, no, but when you actually see it from the inside, in that little principals, deputies bubble at the cabinet, sub-cabinet kind of level of what's going on, how the media F's with this president, the administration, it is unbelievable. Yeah, I wrote a couple of just quickies down, even from little things. Everything is like a drama with these media people. That's total bullshit. This New York Times guy writes his story. Justin, you remember Shouldergate when I grappled with them and the guy wrote a story like, Dan Bongino got injured grappling with the Quantico guys. Who the fuck cares? Why is that a story? Well, number one, I wasn't injured. It was my elbow. I was grappling with the boys down there because I just felt like it. This is like a New York Times story. And you're like, if this was the Biden team,
right,
they'd be like, heroic deputy.
Or they just wouldn't cover it at all.
They would goes rounds with, 30-year-old. And you're thinking, gosh, these guys are such dipshits. But they would call you about stories that were so clearly made up. Like this reporter called me and she's like, I heard you cleared out your office. Do you know how many times that story was printed that I cleared out my office? And I said, okay. I said, do me a favor. Because I knew it was bullshit. I mean, I must have been written about that I resigned like 100 times. Right. I was resigned at the end of the year. That was it. There was always a plan. So, the rumors of my death were greatly exaggerated, your famous quote. But they would say, we heard you cleaned out your office. I said, well, tell you what, whoever your source is full of shit. I'll prove it to you. Ask them to take a picture of my office. And mysteriously, they never get back. But they'd write the story anyway. Like, they're just so full of shit. It's unbelievable. What was another one I wrote down?
Well, we know that the media is a threat, but you said that the world is a really dangerous place, and this job opened your eyes to that. What would you say is the biggest threat facing us right now?
I mean, it's hard to say what the biggest one is, but, obviously China is a massive threat on the surveillance front. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of radicalization going on. Be careful of what your kids are watching online. A lot of teenage radicalization, watching these, crazy 764 videos, those animal torture videos, ISIS, AQAP, focusing heavily on the kids. They're persuadable.
Wow.
All a big problem. It's all. Here's another one. Goes while you're on the topic. I saw this story a couple times. They wrote like, the place is in chaos. I was like, well, how? By what metric is it in chaos? It'd say, well, the world's going to be a dangerous place because the FBI is in chaos. I'd be like, the violent crime rate's the lowest it's been in 2 decades. The homicide rate's down 20%. It's the lowest ever recorded. And then you get these dipshits in the media. They're like, well, the FBI doesn't do homicides. Really? The FBI does. Gangs, RICO, Vicar, and gangs. Guys, Justin, did you know this? Gangs kill people. Were you aware? The dipshits in the media were totally unaware of that. They're like, so we did this violent crime initiative. So that, I think we were really proud of.
Operation Summer Heat.
Summer Heat, yeah. Summer Heat was awesome. They crushed it. Something like 30,000 arrests. And then, we just watched. I remember sitting in a meeting. Am I messing with your show? Guys, if you would just write in the chat, let Hayley down, I'll bounce. I told you I wouldn't stay too long, but
No. Keep coming. Keep it coming.
I was sitting we had this big meeting every Tuesday and Thursday morning. That was another story, by the way, how we canceled this big meeting, and it was only because, the media dipshits didn't understand that we didn't want to drag everybody to headquarters. We wanted them to work.
Right.
And they didn't like it anyway, so we did it Tuesday and Thursday. But we're sitting there, and I said to the guys, I said, how many murderers do you know in your personal life? And they were looking at me like I was crazy. I said, none, right? You don't know any. And I said, that's because they're rare. Something like 0.5% of the violent crimes, 70% of violent crimes committed by 0.5% of the population. And all of those people who've been arrested have been arrested on average 8 to 12 times. I said, bottom line, if we go pick these people off with gang collars, RICO collars, and something else, the murder rate's going to plunge. And it did. It wasn't complicated. Right. It just happens. That's what happens when you get shitheads off the street, is they don't do bad stuff. It's not really complicated. It wasn't rocket science. Broken windows, policing 101. So that was kind of fun.
But you did a lot to overhaul the FBI as it was versus how it is now under Director Kash Patel's leadership and formerly your leadership. And, I feel like you coming back into this space is pretty bittersweet for people because they missed you as a podcaster and they missed your voice. But I think there are a lot of people out there that are thinking, well, we really liked Dan at the FBI because it was one of us. It was someone that we could trust. It was a patriot that was in there in the swamp and he was supposed to do this work. Do you feel like how the FBI is right now? Do you feel comfortable stepping away and knowing that it's good?
Well, I wouldn't say anything's ever good in that, I'm done worrying about it. I'm always worrying about things. I mean, human beings are, corruptible. They are. There has to be mechanisms in government, Federalist 51, if men were angels. Am I comfortable that Kash and I did everything we could in the past year to create institutional safeguards against things happening again anytime soon? Yes. The problem is you can get new leadership in there later that can obviously change it. But I think over the course of the next 3 years, and of course it's always tough to walk away, but I was never going to be the long-term solution there. I was in there, to be the hammer, to come in there and to get stuff done and to move fast, make some things that are good better, makes things that are really bad good. And that's what we did. I mean, we moved quick. We moved really fast.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but how many people did you fire?
Oh, well, the New York Times. It depends who you listen to. I mean, the New York Times tell you we fired, 55,000 people despite only having 38,000 employees. They were saying, but we had to move. There were a lot of personnel changes. I'll leave it at that. A lot,
okay.
Significant personnel, and the leadership is, I'm reasonably confident, is completely different at this point than it was. I'm not sure there's that many folks left from before. So
wow.
But
Well, that's good to hear.
yeah, there
That's
were a
very
lot
good
of
to
and,
hear.
you know, it was interesting because you'd see both sides of it. You know, New York Times would hit us saying, "I can't believe that they're making all these personnel changes," and other people would say, "Well, not making personnel. That's how you know you had to. There has to be some, longitudinal." Institutional stability because of the counter-espionage and counter-terrorist stuff. So there were hard decisions that have to be made.
Yeah.
But that's what it's about. I loved hard decisions. But I had a blast, man. I'm a happy warrior. You know, I had a great time doing it. I see that clip gets kicked around a lot about me on Fox when Lawrence Jones asked me, what were you, how are you feeling? And I said, listen, it's tough. I gave up a lot. And of course, the, dipshits in the media are like, I wasn't whining, you freaking morons. They asked me a question and I missed Paula. It'd been 3 months in. I'm only a human being, but I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I had a blast, man. It's hard not to. Working for this president and this VP, they just move quick. I mean, at a speed I've never seen in government. They just don't take no for an answer. And I'll tell you.
I love to hear that.
I am as serious as a freaking stroke right now. Like, they just don't want to hear your bullshit. They don't care. They don't want to hear about, it's like, we need you to lower the crime rate within the bounds of the Constitution and your administrative guidelines. We just get it done.
Right.
You don't have to come back every 10 minutes and report to me. If it doesn't happen, though, you're fired. Like, you're out of here. He has no problem like moving you out at all. He doesn't care if you had a podcast, a radio show, $1 billion business.
So do you think it's different, Trump 1 versus Trump 2, and the people that he kept around him and in his cabinet and his inner circle? You think Trump is better now than he was in 2016?
It's hard for me to compare because, obviously I wasn't in Trump. I mean, I was friendly with him and had a general idea from the outside about how things were rolling, and I saw, open source stuff like you did. But yeah, I think last time, 2016, he tried like the team of rivals approach, which, Lincoln did it. And I think it was at the time, given that he was new to politics, you can't say that was the craziest idea.
Right.
But a lot of people screwed him over. They just did. And then he's a smart guy. He didn't make the same mistake twice. Now he brought in people he knows are laser focused, who had no agenda. I mean, he knew what was I there for? I mean, I certainly wasn't there for the money. I'm not running for anything. I wasn't trying to be the director or anything else. And guys like Pete and everyone else, I mean, these guys, we're unconventional picks. Yeah, but look at, if you're, one of our liberal haters or, black pillars out there, the skies for every day. And I'll say it to I think you saw it yesterday. Like, I'm like going to war with these.
Oh, well, we can't wait. You're back in a big way. You're back, but you're also back on social media.
Oh, yeah. I woke up, I'm like, I'll give it a week. And then I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm not going to give nothing a week. I'm just going for it.
In true Dan form.
Oh, my gosh. Every day it's like, nothing has happened. Do you even read the news? Like, what are you talking about? The crime rate's totally collapsed. The border's shut. Inflation's under control. He just put out today a $1.5 trillion proposal for the military. They just bagged Maduro, by the way, with our guys, with our HRT guys and the great Secretary of War out there. You've seen peace deals break out. You have established borders in the United States. You've got a sense of national pride back. And you've got these anti-Trump black pillars pretending to be part of their movement, and they're not. They're full of shit. Don't buy it. There's big division in the Republican Party. People are furious. Really? That's fine. I put out a tweet today with a CNN poll. Freaking CNN, who would love to talk about, how the Republicans hate each other. I think it was at Harry Anton Cat. And he's like, well, there's really no division. It's pretty much unanimous support. It's all bullshit. It's all like digital AstroTurf shit. And
the haters are going to hate, obviously, but you did get a lot done. And even I know from where I'm sitting and where everyone in the chat is sitting, people who are paying attention know all about Operation Summer Heat, and they know all about, James Comey and Letitia James and all of this. So what would you say you're most proud of?
Man, I mean, we did a lot, and I don't want to take any kind of celebratory victory laps, but, the pipe bomb case was definitely sensitive, obviously. There was a lot going on. That's an ongoing investigation. But sitting there, I was sitting down, and it was I had brought in a different a group of guys take a look at something. And I got a call from a supervisor, totally out of the blue. And he said, hey, boss, are you sitting down? And I said, yeah, why? And he said, I think we got a suspect in this case. And I got to tell you, I was like blown away because I know we'd been busting our ass on it for a really long time. So that, I mean, there were a lot of down moments too, though. I mean, I will never forget sitting in my office in the 7th floor in the Hoover building, which we shut down, by the way, after like 500 years of finagling about it. I mean, it was ridiculous. They want to build some like $5 billion facility in Maryland. We're like, screw that.
Right.
We're going down the block to the Reagan building. All we got to do is refurbish it. But I was sitting there, and I was sitting there with Gail Trotter, who some of you may know from, but she was my lawyer. She was my general counsel. And we were trying to figure out a way to fix this administrative problem, but it made it up to my level. It was getting to be a real pain in the ass. And I see, was it Sandra Smith on Fox? And having had it, who knows Fox better than you, but having had a show myself, and you worked there for years, like the golden rule at TV, live TV, is you never stop talking, ever. You don't just stop talking on TV, or you go to a cut, or you go to B-roll, or you go to a commercial. So I have the TV on mute, and I'm gonna move this a bit, but I see Sandra Smith go like this, put her head in her hand, and I notice her lips aren't moving, like she's not talking. So I'm like, wait, stop. I'm like, I turned the volume up, and of course the Chiron is, Charlie was shot, and I mean, I think it was about an hour before they said on TV that he'd been declared dead, but we knew right away, and I remember Cash running in and just saying, he's dead. And I was just, I don't even now. I don't know. It was just so hard for me to grasp. I mean, Charlie and I had chatted all the time. And, I know I'm not knocking anyone. People put out their texts out. Well, I'm not going to be doing any of that. I got a couple of nice photos of me and him. I think it'd be nice to show people. But we would text each other endlessly about the radio business, the podcasting business, about candidates, people we liked, people we didn't like. And I think it hit me like it hit everyone. But I just, when Cash walked in and told me that, I just couldn't believe it. I think we all hoped like maybe some miracle was going to happen. So, yeah, that was a tough one.
I mean, that was a hard day. I mean, I had maybe emailed and back and forth with him, booking him on shows in my day at Fox, but I didn't know him like you knew him and like other people knew him. And even sitting in this chair, I could not hold it together. I mean, he's my age.
I saw you.
And he had a whole life ahead of him, and clearly a movement that is, it is in motion and it is not going anywhere. So I think that's something that's really encouraging. But, being in the FBI during that is totally different. You don't have time to grieve. You have to jump into action.
Yeah, and that's a story. Because it's being litigated now, obviously, but that's a story one day. And there was a moment. I just remember someone walking in and saying, I think we got the suspect. And I was just, it was just so much. You know who was really close with Charlie? Paula. Because Charlie used to call about, AmFest and events and Turning Point events. And because, as most of you out there know, like I can't do anything without Paula at all. So Paula has the schedule. So I always send everyone. So I would just send Charlie or Andrew over to Paula. Right. And Paula knew Charlie almost as well as I did, because for years and years and years we had done events for him and everything like that. And that's why, she was just devastated too. It just really ate us up. That was a day. You asked me before, like leaving the FBI and the change versus coming back, where do you think you're more valuable, or the gist of your question was that. That day, I knew, God had put me in the right spot. Like I had to be there. I wanted to be on the air badly, really badly. I just wanted to just be a bridge for people for a while, but I knew I was in the right spot. I knew it. But that was hard.
Yeah. Well, not to change gears, but we do have some exciting news here at Silverlock. And
there is? I was
Well, I don't
unaware
know.
of this.
I was
There's exciting news.
Thinking maybe you could
Justin's
tease
like,
it
I
on
don't
the
know. I haven't
show.
heard anything. Jasmine's like, you better tell me. I'm the businessman.
I think
gotta-
there are a lot of people waiting in the chat to hear something. So what's next for you?
Well, the show is definitely coming back. So look at it. I haven't got to read the chat. My eyes are going really bad, but I can see far. I just can't see up close. We love you guys. Thank you guys. Oh man, you're the best. Vince was there. Yeah, Vince is great. I'll be doing an interview on Vince's show too. He's the best. So Rumble Wallet Bitcoin tip. Chris from Rumble. Look at Chris. So that's Chris, right? My eyes are good there. All right. Thank you, Chris P. Rumble. You're the best. You know we love you. You know we love Rumble. This Bitcoin thing is pretty cool, I think.
Very cool.
So the show is definitely coming back.
When?
Early February. We will release the date. Yes, thank you guys in the chat. Thank you to the fuck yes in there. That's my favorite quote so far. Thank you. Yeah, yes, thank you guys. I'm serious, man. I love you guys so much, and just to be back with you.
Wow, the chat is flying.
Mixing and mingling with the chat is gonna be awesome. Early February, very early February, we will put out a press release with Westwood One and Rumble this coming Monday. So just a few days from now, which will provide the date. It's going to be early February. And we're going to be ready to roll. And I told the guys, Andy, you hanging around with us for a little bit? Because we're going to need some, I said, we're going to need some support. I told producer Jim, you got to fly his ass in here. That first show, usually we would put together the show night before, morning
Right.
of. You know, it's like at Fox. I said, that first show, I got a lot of stuff. It's on my phone, folks.
Weeks ahead of time.
I took so many notes. I mean, obviously, I can't talk about classified stuff, right? You know, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of stuff we can talk about and provide context
Yeah.
and color and, you know, crush a lot of the black pill bullshit out there. You know, nothing's happening, all this stuff. So, yeah, exactly. I went there to jerk around for
Right.
a year. Like, it's so luxurious in Washington, D.C. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about that I think is going to open a lot of eyes, and a lot of ignoramuses are going to get shut down. But I'm going to need some help because that first show could go on forever. We'll be 2 hours now, though. So 2 hours live, 10 to 12, 10 a.m. To 12 noon, obviously. And we are ready to roll. I mean, I've got so much content bottled up in my head. Can I just tease one thing? 'Cause
Absolutely.
listen, guys, I'm an activist at heart. Like, I just don't want you to think that I'm going to come back and there's going to be like endless, you know, FBI stories or complaining about, you know, Milton Friedman told Walter Williams one time, the two famous economists, when you talk about liberty, you talk about it with a smile. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to show endlessly, you know, talking about it. Yeah, we'll get through it and we'll talk about that stuff. But there's stuff I miss too, like the government shutdown. I could not believe. Do you know how bad I wanted to be on the air and say how? How the fuck is the government shut down over Obamacare? And the Democrats are pretending this is their argument.
Yeah.
You dipshits passed this. It's called Obamacare. It's not called Trump care, Reagan care. The effing thing is called Obamacare. They fucking called it Obama. They shut
This is what
down the
we've been missing.
government.
Just keep
and they're
going.
like, hey man, this thing is really expensive. He ran saying, what? Are you? He
No,
ran.
we're pumped for
He's
him.
back.
He's back.
He's back.
He's saying that this was going to make healthcare cheaper and accessible. It's called Obamacare. Then the Democrats come back and go, this program sucks so bad. We need more government money to bail out the failed program. It's supposed to be cheap. And like, how did the media, like, how did we miss that? I want to be on the air so bad. Like, is this real? You understand what happened, right? We're shutting down the government because we need more money for this shit program. It's your program. It's freaking called Obamacare. Man, I would have been on the air every day. Like, this is
Hey.
the Obamacare sucks shutdown.
I feel you because we were off for just 2 weeks, and I thought, never again. We can't do this ever again. When I started this show, I did not take a vacation day this year, and the only time that we took off was for Christmas and until New Year's. The Minnesota Nick Shirley thing happened. The Venezuela thing happened. I said, I need my show back. So I cannot imagine what you feel like, you know, sitting in DC, you're in the swamp and there's all these things happening and you just can't talk about it yet. But we're coming to the end here. And I was going to ask you what you're most excited about to talk about on day one. but I feel like we might.
I just kind of blew it. It was wait, we got to fuck you, Dan, in there. We got. Hey, you too, pal. I'm telling you, just wait. Just wait. It's just going to be a glorious return. The Godfather's back. I promise. I promise. You have no idea. He is so back. How I wanted that Obamacare thing was driving me freaking bananas. I wanted to say something so bad, but when you're in there, Hatch Act stuff and all these other things, there was that. I also wanted to talk about tariffs, the border, especially the border. How this should be. I'm like blowing up my first show. I was like, hey, let's do 5 minutes.
We can leave it as a tease.
No, all right.
Maybe a message to
now I
the
can't go to
black
sleep
pillars,
tonight.
and then you can take us out.
I'll never get out of this one. The border being shut down should be like the biggest story ever. From like entire countries being imported into the United States in 2 to 4 weeks to almost zero should be the biggest story ever. And of course, the media just ignores it. And that's where I think, we were the bridge. And the black pillars out there, listen, guys, I'm not coming back to the Bongino army. Again, said it 10 times. I'll say it 20 more. I love you guys. Actually love you guys. You've been with me through thick and thin. I've been doing this political commentary stuff since 2011. It's been 15 years. I've been through ups and downs, the Romney cycle, the DeSantis-Trump cycle, the Cruz-Rubio-Trump cycle. I've been through Obama, Biden. I've been through all this stuff. The reason we've always been at the top of our game is we never sold out our principles ever. So when I come back, if it's going to be, endless complaining, then just don't watch. The shows, it's okay. This is a constitutional republic. You're not obligated to listen to my show. Justin, what was the line on the air with Jim? It's not a freaking airport, man. You don't have to announce your departure. You get these black pillars. The thing about black pillars, where everything sucks all the time, is they're like, well, we're demanding accountability, but you're not great. So am I. You're endlessly complaining about things you don't know anything about. That's all you do. He'll shut down the border, 10 people across the month. Why wasn't it 0? Okay, well, can you just acknowledge going from 1 million to 10 is a big deal? That way, and there's a cost to that. And the cost you see is in, polling numbers around the midterms. You can't let this negative vibe constantly set in. That doesn't mean healthy debates about policy are not welcome. Hey, I'm not a big tariff guy. I've said that 1,000 times. Debating policies are fine. I think a lot of the so-called damage from the tariffs was dramatically over-exaggerated. Even people who don't like them having to acknowledge that now. The economy's motoring, 4% growth. But the black pill complaining and whining all the time about the administration, it's just like, man, what team are you on? Holy Moses, man. So you don't have to watch. It's okay. There's a door. Go find the freaking exits, because I don't really give a shit. I'm not here for anybody's money or anything like that. I'm too old for that shit.
Well, we're all very excited to have you back. So I just want to say welcome back. Welcome home. And thank you for your service. And thank you for coming on Nightly Scroll. I appreciate it.
Now, I'm going to move this over so you can take back the desk.
All I'm going to say is thank you so much for watching tonight. I know this interview was long awaited, and it was great to be sitting next to my friend and my mentor, Dan Bongino. He is back. So we will see you tomorrow.